Well, we do actually have some exit polls already. So basically, the exit polls say that the center right has got between 41 and 45% of the votes, and the center left 25 and 29.5. So they just came out in Italy. That means that we might be almost sure that the next government will be a center right one. And most likely it will be led by Ms. Meloni. That means that things will change in Italy. One thing is good. So for the first time in Italian history, we have a female prime minister, which has never happened before. So it's something to celebrate. The other one is the uncertainties which are related to a new kind of government, which is really very different from the Draghi one, and will pose a number of challenges for the economy, for the society, and as you said, also in relation to our immigration policy. So we need to see what the consequences will be. But in terms of social policy, that will be by far more on the right. And as Ms. Meloni has already announced her policy towards, for example, LGBT rights will be much more restrictive. Also in relation to women's rights, paradoxically, it will be more restrictive. And she has an intention to limit the right of abortion, for example. In economic terms, we can expect tax cuts that they have announced. And tax cuts might seem something like very good, but in reality for us, they're not so good because they will increase our debt to GDP, our public debt, and that can pose and put Italy in a very weird or bad situation in Europe, because we might exceed the various references for fiscal policy, like the debt to GDP and the deficit to GDP. And that could mean for Italy also, being on the verge of a crisis, maybe being attacked by financial markets as it happened before. So we don't know exactly what will happen, but there are certainly a lot of things which might not be so positive with this next government.
You mentioned those exit polls. We're seeing some of those results on our screen right now. Of course, these are just exit polls. But we saw a far-right party take control in Sweden recently. That's what we're seeing here, according to these exit polls in Italy. What paved the way for this political shift to happen in Italy, in your opinion?
Yeah, if you look at the numbers, 41 to 45% of the vote for the center-right is nothing new in Italy. This has always been the case. They always had this kind of vote. The problem is that the center-right is a cohesive group, is a cohesive coalition, or at least is united, whereas the center-left is not united. So the fact that you have a center-left not united meant that there was little opportunity for the center-left to actually gain these elections. So I wouldn't say that there has been a shift to the right of the Italian electorate, because the percentage vote is more or less the same that has always been, but there has been much a disunited center-right, center-left, which made it impossible to be a credible contender in these elections. And a lot of shift has happened within the center-right coalition, so moving from the Berlusconi's and Salvini's parties to Meloni's party, so the Brothers of Italy. And I guess the reason is that that was the only party at opposition in the previous government. So all the other parties were in government, and the only opposition party was Brothers of Italy, which usually has gives a prize to the party in opposition. And I would also add that Giorgia Meloni is a charismatic leader. So she made a good campaign, electoral campaign. She's a woman. She's good looking. She's blonde. She's sleek. She can talk. She has a very, she's an attractive leader in a sense. So it has attracted also for this reason some votes.